Hi, it's Christina with the Sisyphean Journal, and today we get into the second most common, or at least likely the second most common type of pre-legalization abortion. As I said before, research by Planned Parenthood and independent researcher Nancy Howell Lee showed that prior to legalization, most women, by far the majority, found doctors to perform their abortions. And the majority of the remaining women found somebody like a nurse, a midwife, a dentist, somebody who had medical knowledge and training. And this is a case where the young woman appeared to have found a midwife, but I, as of yet, have been unable to determine for sure. So on August 1st of 1922, a 27-year-old divorcee named Carrie died at County Hospital in Denver, Colorado from the effects of abortion. She'd been taken there after her friends realized that the care they were providing her after her abortion wasn't going to be enough to help. When she was admitted, she insisted she was only suffering from ptomaine poisoning, but an inquest was ordered after her death over the protest of her parents. Now, Carrie had been living in a rooming house under the name Carrie Healey with a chauffeur who was calling himself Ed Healey, though his real name was Ed Hanley. He reportedly had been planning to marry Carrie as soon as his divorce was finalized, but he left the boarding house several weeks before Carrie's death and had not been seen since. Now, 6 women were held during the investigation because police believed they might have information about the abortion. The women insisted that though Carrie had told them about the abortion perpetrated on July 7th, they had been sworn to secrecy as to the identity of the midwife that performed it. And this is something you see a lot in criminal abortion deaths. There's a greater loyalty to the abortionist than there is to the woman's own life. Women will refuse to name the person who killed them, as if, what, you're going to let this person harm the next woman? They don't seem to feel any responsibility for any injury that might happen to somebody else because they keep their mouths shut. And, this kind of strikes me as having a parallel in safe and legal days. There'll be filthy abortion clinics and nobody reports them. They'll send their friends there. There seems to be something about abortion where you can't say it's because abortion was illegal and they were desperate, because if you look at like Kermit Gosnell, Robert Alexander, some of these other filthy clinics, there were other options available, readily available. But women still went to these disgusting places. And I'm going to have to try to look into the research. From what I understand, sometimes the women will say that they feel bad about what they're doing, so they feel like they deserve the horrible circumstances. Now, Sadie Hines, a beautician who had known Carrie for about a year, said that Carrie had spoken for weeks about arranging an abortion and asked Sadie to give her money for it, but she had refused. Sadie said that after the abortion, she'd gone for a car ride with Carrie, who told her that the baby had been born alive and she'd heard it crying, and that they had asked her if she wanted to see it, and she said no. Carrie said after that she'd heard nothing of the baby's whereabouts, but she got the impression that the baby had been killed. I haven't been able to find out what happened to Carrie's baby. Fort Collins police helped Denver police in the search for Mrs. Alma Dittman, age 52, suspected to have had something to do with Carrie's death, though Alma denied any knowledge of the fatal abortion. She had been implicated along with several other women by Carrie's friend, Ida Cathcart, who later recanted her story and said she hadn't known anything about the abortion. Dittman was located at Fort Morgan and brought back for questioning. She said she'd been called in to care for Carrie after a self-induced abortion and denied any knowledge of what had happened to the baby. And however, a search of her home revealed surgical instruments. And I've been totally unable to determine the outcome of the case. Did all of Carrie's friends remain more loyal to the abortionist midwife than they were to their friend? And if somebody can explain to me why, whether the abortion's legal or illegal, horrible circumstances seem to be good enough. As long as the abortion happens, nothing else matters.